Hey, hi guys, let's get started for today. Hopefully you are able to see my screen and able to hear me loud and clear. So we get started. Now, we have a common understanding now. Like we know what is EC2, we know what is Lambda, we know what is S3, IAM, we know DynamoDB, RDS, we know how the storage works, and we know how the networking works. So we have the
sorry to interrupt you. Like yesterday in session, I have just one query. Can I ask that?
Yeah.
Actually, while allowing the security group rules for the yesterday's while we're telling, right, like management thing and the database thing, like public and private subnets we are giving, right? Security rules, how will you, like for inbound will allow the certain pool of IPs like that we are using in our like organization, and for outbound will allow the all traffic, right?
Yes.
Normally, right?
See, outbound we are not worried. Okay, if you want,
Yes,
you can restrict your outbound also, but in general we are not worried about outbound. Okay, but in case you want to restrict your outbound, you can restrict your outbound also.
Okay. Thank you.
That's it. Anything else, man?
No, that's it. That is the like inbound. Actually, while I'm creating, actually I'm giving the only the VPC public subnet for inbound, so it is not taking, it is not connecting. My IP is 169. It is showing a public IP. Like if I give my IP, it is connecting. If I give the subnet of which 10 series I given, it is not connecting. So I came to know that okay, public subnet is of 10 series, and my IP, my laptop IP is like 169 IP it is showing. So that is why it is not connecting. Then I given my IP inbound rule, then it is connected. So that is my question actually. So normally how in the company organization, how we provide, like
in the company, they have a range of IP address. They have their own range. Okay. And based on that range only, they will ask you to log in.
Yes.
Okay. It is something like you log in from the intranet.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Vikas.
Yeah. 1 second. Okay, let's get started for today. So we have a basic understanding of the components of AWS. Like we know EC2, we know what is Lambda, we know what is S3, we know what is EBS, we know what is EFS. We also know what is IAM rules, how to configure user security group and all those things. Then we came to know the networking concept. So the basic understanding of cloud is what we have at this point of time. So we start with the project. So in this project, what we will do is we will host a web application on AWS, and we'll try to make it dynamic. Dynamic in the sense it should be able to tolerate every fault and all those things. So this is somehow my website will look like. Okay. So at the beginning, I will have something called Route 53. So when I say Route 53, it is something like a DNS server. So DNS server is allowing you to, so wait, let me just first come here to say what is a DNS server. DNS server. So basically when you go here, not this. Images. Okay. So basically when you come to a website, let it be any website. Okay. So when you come to a website, you generally type the website URL. Okay. Like www. Something gocorelabs.com. But basically this Core Labs or whatever example.com, whatever you type is not the actual address. The actual address is something like this. Okay. So if you type google.com, it is not actually google.com. It is because you saw whenever you launch a web server, you get a IP address. Okay. So if I am working on a web server and I go and say my friend that, see, I have created a new website and the website is running on 33.22.69.85, then he will say, what is this? What numbers are this? So I will always want to have a human readable text, which I can use to get my content. So this web server whose IP address is, let me say 123.123.123.123, I don't directly use this IP address. Rather, I give this a name, some common name. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm just resetting a password. Okay. So rather than giving IP address to my domain name, I'm giving a domain name like this. And this domain name I have to buy. So there are many websites, like there is something called godaddy.com, godaddy.com. Okay. So you can see here, there are companies who sell this domain name. Okay. So you can go and find a domain name. Let me say I want to buy a domain name with the name as swamimohan.com. Okay. So .com also I mentioned. And I want to search this domain name. So it will, is VPC completed? Yes, VPC, the basic VPC is completed. When I start my project, then I'll again use it. Okay. So if you see here, swamimohan.com, if I want, I can buy it at 299 rupees per month. It is for first 2 years of registration. Okay. If I go with swamimohan.in, it is 149 rupees for first 2 years. So basically I can buy a domain name, but if I want to buy a domain name which already somebody has taken, amazon.com. Let me search. So amazon.com is something which already it has been taken. So amazon.com, we might not be able to help you. So a domain has been taken, you know who has taken amazon.com, but you can take free amazon.club. So something like this. Similarly, you have websites like Hostinger. So there are many websites who sell the domain names. Okay. So you can go ahead and get free domain names from them. So as of now, there is no domain name provider who gives you the domain name for free, but back 2 years, 3 years back, there were few who used to give this to you. So you can map your IP address with your domain name, and then you can use your domain name rather than the IP address. The same thing is done on AWS also. On AWS, I have something called Route 53. So the first component is what I will be using. So login back. This account. This is my account. Now you can go to the service called Route 53. Route 53. So Route 53 is a scalable domain name registration service. Now here, let me come to this place. So here you can buy the domain name. So same registered domains or pending request. You can come here and say registered domains. And here you can register a domain in your name. Basically, you buy a domain name. So let me say the same thing. swamimohan.com. So it is like $12 per month, per year. Okay. So if you want, you can go with this also. See, swamimohan.com, $12 for 1 year. So this is the cost what they're showing me. So I can go ahead and use this in case I want this. Okay. If I want something else like .org, .net, .co.uk. So based on what my requirement is, I will get one domain name. So basically you have to buy this, and then there is a tenure for which it will stay with you. Okay. So let me just see. I don't want to buy anything. Okay. Now, once you have bought this, assume that you have bought this thing, you can come here and your map, and you can map your services. How to map? 153. So you can come here and say, I want to create a hosted zone. And you can say, so my domain name, let me say, is swamimohan.com. Okay. So I will just come here, and if it is a public one, means anybody can see the IP. So I'll come here and say, I want to create a hosted zone. Now, once the hosted zone is ready, you can come here and I can create record, and I can say the IP address, whatever IP address I want. So let me say my EC2 instance is running. So let me just open a duplicate EC2. Let me say one machine is running. So this elastic IP, somehow it is mine elastic IP, right? So I'll take this, come here. So now what will happen? Rather than calling it like Swami Mohan, like giving this IP address, I can give this name, www.swamimohan.com, and I can get it for this. I can create a record, but it will not work because I don't own this domain name. So it will not work actually, but in real scenario, if that was the case, instead of using this IP address, I could have used this swamimohan.com. Okay. So this could have worked, but as of now, I know it will not work because I don't own this domain name. I've not bought this. So simply let me go ahead and delete this. It is chargeable. Okay. So just go ahead and delete this in case you're not using it. Okay, hold on. Let me just go and delete that record. This a record which I created. Let me just delete that. Now let me go ahead and say.
So A record is the main record for DNS connectivity.
A record is the address record. So that's the main record.
Okay.
Let me delete this. Okay, now back to my stuff here. So the first thing is I will be providing a Route 53 name here. Based on that Route 53, it will go to my instance. So you can see here, I'm running it on a T2 micro, but you can go ahead and make it big in case you want. You can make it big. Whatever the size is, based on that, you will use it. If you want that it should be scalable, multi-deployment and all, then in that case, you should go ahead and put it in different availability zones. So here I have only one, but you can make auto scaling. So you can put here auto scaling, load balancing and all those things. And whatever is coming here will be auto scaled and load balanced. So if one instance fails, others can support. Now, whatever code I have will be here on my T2 micro or my EC2 instance, and this will be linked with a RDS instance, which is a database. Again, to make database robust, you can do a multi-AZ deployment. Then to make your data fast, you can put a memcache here. Now, when I talk about a website, there can be a content which is dynamic and there can be a content which is static. So any dynamic content which you have, you put here on this T2 micro, because here I have EBS storage. But if any static thing is there, you put it in S3. When you use S3, it will be slow because S3 does not give you speed. So you introduce something called CloudFront in between. So CloudFront will come and it will take the data from here. Okay. So net, you will see that these two will work together and your data will be uploaded on the website. And then in the background, you will have RDS and your memcache to quickly give the data. You will have Route 53 to route the traffic. You will have auto scaling and load balancing to make sure that this instance is always up and running. Now, when auto scaling works, okay, the auto scaling concept says it will scale up as per the demand and it will scale down if the demand goes down, right? Now, assume that when I started my work, there were 10 instances running, okay? But then I went ahead and I scaled down, means I was not able to, or the workload was not that much. So it scaled down. So from 10, it became 2. Now, when it becomes 2, there are chances that the 10 out of 8 got terminated. Now, there are chances that someone was working on that, or somebody was doing some work on that. So automatically his work will get terminated. So in that case, what I will do, his session details I'll store here in DynamoDB. So next time, whenever he comes back, or let me say he has, I'm an online shopping cart, I'm online application. So he has added something to his shopping cart. So that particular thing will remain in his shopping cart. Okay. So that is how I will take care of the session variables. So try to understand this. Session variables are very important. You cannot. So many a times not now, sometime back, you might have seen that you are working with a website and all of a sudden that website will shut down. Okay. Or your session, you will be automatically logged off. That's a common problem. Many of you might have faced it. Okay. So this problem should not occur on AWS. So I will keep all the session variables in DynamoDB. So even if this problem happens, so first thing is I will not want this thing to happen. But even if this happens, the user will be able to retain his session with my DynamoDB session variable. So this is basically what I'm going to do here. And this will need a good amount of expertise and knowledge of the stuffs which I have learned till now. Then once I have done everything manually, I will go ahead and use EBS. There is something called Elastic Beanstalk. So Elastic Beanstalk will automate this entire work, because many a times you will see that you're trying to do something, but somehow it's not working, or there is a lot of manual activity involved. Okay. So to remove that manual activity, I will go ahead and use something called Elastic Block Storage. So that will reduce my manual work, and I will be able to go ahead and do a lot of automation there. Okay. So I'll show you that also, how to automate things.
Only see here, DynamoDB will save only the session variables.
Session variables. It
right?
will only
It's
session variables for me. Yes.
It is not database, or like
it is a database. In the database, it's a NoSQL database. So it is your call what you want to store here. So I am storing the session variables.
Okay. And here in this RDS database, like M symbol it is showing, right? It is structural SQL database, right? This one.
Tell again.
Here RDS Elastic Cache, here in the picture you are showing, M symbol is there, right? M symbol.
Okay. This one.
Yes, sir.
This is my RDS. See,
okay.
This DynamoDB is for NoSQL database. Okay. This
one is SQL database.
SQL content.
Okay. Okay. This memcache is for like session saving, if no. It is not expiring.
Memcache is only for speed.
Okay. Yeah, you told about memcaches.
Because in this diagram, you have mentioned 2 subnets, right? Public
and private.
Where is private?
See, private is back one. This back one will be private.
Okay, this is 3-tier architecture, right?
Hmm.
So 3-tier architecture, front-end application and the web application and the database. 3 are different applications, right?
Yes, 3 are.
Which application we are putting in which subnet?
Okay. See, this is the backend. So it will go in the private subnet.
Okay.
Okay. This is the front end. Okay. So this front end I'm using in my web layer or the top or the public subnet. And the second layer also I'm putting it in the public subnet only.
So that means front end application and web application both are in public subnet.
Yes.
Only database in the private subnet.
Yes.
Okay.
Because that line CloudFront to S3 it is there, right? For what purpose we are using that one actually?
When I was teaching you this thing, what you say, S3, I told that it may be a concern. I told you that it may it may be a concern. Many a times people find that the data, when they retrieve the data from your S3, it may not give you that great speed. There are chances. Okay. So my work here is I want that data at a very great or a very high speed. And that is where I'm looking for this thing.
Okay.
Okay. Fine. Clear with this architecture? Now, when you start your interview preparation, okay, the first thing they will ask you is, tell me what have you done? Have you built the project from scratch or you were working on a project which was already there? So whether you are working from scratch or the project was already there, there are a few items which you need to understand and always keep in your mind. Okay. First, always keep this in your mind that you are not a god and your application will fail. It is very important. You need to understand that your application will fail. An application failing is not a problem. An application can fail. Keeping this in mind, you should always be prepared for the failures. Now, this is in this terminology called fault-tolerant architecture. So when I say fault-tolerant architecture, the first thing what you can do is you can do everything what has to be done, but always keep failure in mind. If you keep failure in mind, you will do active monitoring. This active monitoring can be done by tools like CloudWatch and all. Whenever there is a problem, much before the problem becomes a big, you can resolve it if you do active monitoring. That's the first thing. Second thing is you should prepare yourself for failure. Like if I'm deploying a RDS, I should go for multi-AZ deployment because RDS can fail. You are running in US East 1A. There are chances that US East 1A may crash. And you should have a multi-AZ deployment strategy where immediately the load should shift to, let me say, US East 1B. So this is for database. Similarly, when you are running a web server, you may think of auto-scaling and load balancing, where in the auto-scaling, you say that the minimum capacity is 2. If one of the server is down, automatically the second server will take care of the load. And by the time it is taking care of the load, the other server will come up. So this is something required. So you think about the failure, what all reasons due to which your job can fail. And if it fails, how are you going to recover from that failure? Okay, so this is important. So always plan a fault-tolerant architecture. Otherwise, gone those days where customers used to sleep in the night. So there were many applications which used to run in the daytime and in the nighttime, they used to shut it down. So if you see websites like Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, or for that reason, there are many websites like this, which run 24/7. And if your website is down for 6 hours, let me say in the night, it is down for 6 hours, you lose business for those many hours. So always and always look for fault tolerant and highly available architecture. There should be zero downtime. And that zero downtime will only be achieved if you are making your application robust. So there are many ways in which you can make your application robust. Okay. I gave you the example of multi-AZ deployment. I gave you the example of auto scaling. I gave you example of taking the backup of your data regularly. So those things can be done. The second is scalability. Now, today, when you start your work, there are chances that there are only 100 customers who are coming to your website. But there are high chances that tomorrow the number can go to 10,000, the number can go to lakh, 10 lakh. So in that case, what are you going to do? Are you going to redesign everything? You should think of the scalability aspect, that if tomorrow things go big, will my architecture be able to handle this? And that's the reason I always say go for horizontal scaling, never go for vertical scaling. Okay. Then security. Everyone is concerned about security. So if your application is not secure, then you're not doing good. So you must make your application secure. How to make your application secure? The first thing is go ahead and log in with your root credentials, create your own landing zone. Don't rely on the VPC which Amazon is giving. Create your own VPC with your own address range. Once that is done, go ahead and create your own set of IAM users, put them into group, give minimum policy or minimum access through policy. Constantly go and check what is happening in the access advisor. Enable CloudWatch monitoring. Enable CloudWatch monitoring. See who is doing what. If something is failing, something is happening, just keep an eye on that. So active monitoring is important. So like that, you can keep an eye on the security. Okay. Then ease of deployment. So anything which you develop, okay, it should not be very complex. Now, for example, we started with Android. Now, nobody had a KT that, okay, you use Android like this or you do Android like this, but everybody today is an expert on Android. Why? Because when people started using, they were not aware of that, but then it was easy to use. So today, auto rickshaw driver to a grandma to a techie, everybody is using Android phone. I'm not talking about the people who are using Apple phones, but still a major population is still using Android phones. Why? Because it is easy to use. It has a lot of features. So keep these 4 things in your mind. Always keep these 4 things in your mind. And if you keep these 4 things, there are high chances that you develop a very robust architecture. So whenever you're going for interview, keep these things in your mind and answer the questions. Now, let's go ahead and prepare this. So if I have to prepare this, I will start from something like this. Okay, I will start with something like this. Let me just take a step back. I will start with something like this. I will create a T2 micro instance and I will install everything what I need, and then I will take a AMI of that, or I will take a backup of that, so that in future, if I need, I will be having the image of that. Then once it is done, I will keep the snapshots of the EBS volumes, what I get, I will keep the snapshot of that, so that that is safe with me. I will also attach my elastic IP so that this IP does not change. Then I will go with multi-tier architecture. Multi-tier architecture means I have a load balancer or a auto-scaling group put here, and automatically it will take care of that aspect. Then I will have this RDS and I will go with multi-AZ deployment. Then I will have proper IAM roles configured, and my DynamoDB will be linked to that IAM role. And then I will enable S3 and CloudFront. I will enable my instance. I will patch it with my this guy, what do you say, Memcache, and I will patch it with this RDS. In RDS, to make my RDS more robust, I will include something called read replica. So I told you read replica is different, multi-AZ deployment is different. Then I will restrict the access. Somebody is directly going and getting the data from S3. I will not allow that thing to happen. I will make them go via CloudFront so that the data is safe. And at the end, I will come up with an architecture like this. So step by step is what we are going to do. It will take a good amount of time, so just bear with me. So I'm going to do everything in my Mumbai region. So I'll start here, EC2 dashboard. So first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to create a security group. So I have created a security group from my morning class. If I just go here and see what is there. So in inbound section, I have made 2 things. I have added SSH, HTTP, and HTTPS. Again, I have added, like I can connect from anywhere from IPv4, but in case you want to make it more secure, you can restrict the access. You can say that, okay, people logging in from my network or my VPN is only allowed to. So that can be done. I'm just letting it go. I'm not making it that stringent. Then the second item which I created here is I went with a key pair. So when I go with a key pair, I have this custom KP on my local machine. Just let me see here. See, the custom KP is here. And I also have this web KP. So I'll be using this. Wait a second. Mumbai KP, Mum KP. So this is there. So I'll be using this Mum KP because it is a PPK key. So I'll be using this guy. So this is my PPK. 1 second. Give me 1 second. Okay. So first thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an instance for me. Okay. So I will come here and I don't see anything running. So I'll come here and say launch instance. And I will go give a name. So let me say PHP web instance. So I'm going to do PHP code. So I'm writing PHP web instance. I'll keep it as Amazon Linux. I will keep it as T2 Micro. In key pair login, I will go ahead and go with Mumbai KP. I will go with a security group. And I have created that security group, PHP project security group. And then I will leave everything as it is, launch. So here it has been launched. Once this is done, I will come here and I will try to log in. So I can log in, wait, let it come up first, but I can have this IP address. I will come to putty and I will say EC2 minus user @ the IP address, appearance, change the appearance, 16, okay, SSH, auth, browse, and Mumbai KP is the key, open it up, accept. Now let me become a root user, sudo su hyphen host name, let me say PHP web server. Okay, and again sudo su hyphen. Let's clear out everything. Now this is my machine. Now here I would like to go ahead and do everything. So I am not a PHP developer. So PHP code will be available for me. The developer will be there. He will give me the code. But that code, I have to bring it here. So let me assume that he is giving me the code in a URL. So I'll go to this bitbucket.org. And here I have a URL with this name. You can see here, this is the stuff. So this is what code is there. Okay, if I go inside, I will be able to see the code. There is a big piece of code here. Okay, what I will do is, for time being, I'll simply clone the repository and bring it to my AWS environment. So clone. So it says git clone and then run this particular thing. So copy this. And I will try to run this thing here. Git clone and the URL, but it will not work because I have not installed Git. So it says Git not found. So I can go ahead and install Git. Yum install Git -y. So I will take the Git thing here. Let's clear out everything. Now, once the code is available here, sorry, still now the code is not available. I'll clone the code. So I can see the code has been cloned and I can see this code here. Now if I go inside, this is the code which is present here. Now, if you see the code carefully, there is something called appget.sh. Now appget.sh is the one which has all the scripts, okay, which I need to install basically. So I can go ahead and run this script. So let me just go inside this cat appget or if I have to run the script, dot backslash, first let me see execute permission is there or no, not there. So I'll say chmod plus x dot backslash, sorry, plus x and this apt. Okay, now dot backslash and run the script. Okay, sorry, it is apt-get. Apt-get is Ubuntu machine. Sorry, I have to go and create a Ubuntu machine. So as of now, I'll leave it. I will create a Ubuntu machine later, but I can see there is something called index.php. Okay, so because of this index.php, I think I should be able to work with this. So I've just copied the code. Let me just come here and try to see if it is running. Okay, just let me check. A little bit doubtful, but still I will try. This is the machine. I am doubtful. No, it is not reaching. Give me 1 second. So copied at a wrong place, I guess. Okay, I have to run this. There's no other way. Wait, I'll exit from here and I'll create a Ubuntu instance. I'll tell you why. Because the script, if you open, we just cd right. See here. Basically, everything is apt-get. I can do one thing. I can change the script and make it to yum. That I can do. Okay, so I'll do that only. Nano. This is the script. I'll change the script. Okay, nano. So apt-get is for Ubuntu machine. Okay, so let me just remove apt-get and create and make it as a yum so that I can run this. So basically, I'm installing all the softwares here. Yeah. Anyhow, all the instructions I'll give you. I'll let you know all the instructions, what I'm doing, how I am doing, everything I'll tell you.
Vikas, if there is any Java project, so simply instead of PHP, we need to mention Java, right? If we have existing.
Yes, if you have a Java project, then you can go with the Java commands. Okay. But down the line, I will show you something where you can easily go ahead and do all the work, and there will be hardly any, what you say, concern, even if it's a Java program or a .NET program or Python, whatever it is. So meanwhile, when it is getting stored, getting installed, no, in AWS, I have a service called EBS, Elastic Block Storage. Sorry, Elastic Beanstalk. Now here, you don't have to go and do everything from scratch. Here, you just use the coding language which you want. Okay. And here, you can choose your own platform. You can choose what platform you want and simply upload the code and it will start running. So that is very, very easy thing which you do on cloud. So PHP code, Java code, Node.js, whatever language you have used, come here and upload the code. That's it. Now, I'll talk about this later. As of now, let's could not HTTPD. Okay, let's clear all these things. So this is installed. One second now. Okay. Now there is some composer needed. So let me just install this guy. So basically I'm preparing the environment. Okay. I will explain everything. Give me 1 minute. There is a problem with this. Yeah, let me just wait. I'm just running all these things. I'll explain all this and give you some. This did not get created. Anyhow, I have copied this PHP. So basically I installed HTTPD. So service HTTPD status, HTTPD status. So it is inactive and dead. So let me just start it. Service HTTPD start. Install HTTPD. Nothing to do. So what is the service restart? Systemctl enable HTTPD. No, there is some problem with this machine. CD service HTTPD status failed to start. Starting server could not reliably determine the age. CD / var www HTML. This one is L. So the content is here. The service should start at service HTTPD start. Is failing to start. Why? Let me do one thing. Let me reboot this application. So I don't know why is it failing. Close this. So many times if it does not work, I would go and said reboot. It will reboot my machine. So it will take a minute or two, or it will reboot my machine. I'm confused. What are you trying to do? Okay, wait, let me do it first. Then I will let you know what I'm trying to do. See, I'm basically trying to, let me come here.
Deploy PHP code in the web server, right?
See, I have a T2 micro instance, a EC2 instance. On this instance, I'm trying to deploy a code so that my website runs on this particular T2 micro. So this is what I'm trying to do. But the problem is that the server is not getting started. Once the server starts, I'll take an AMI of that. That is all what I'm trying to do now. But it is not working as of now. So that's what the problem is. That's why I'm restarting my application. Okay. SSH auth browse. Open it up. Sudo hyphen host name web server sudo hyphen service httpd start. Okay, this time it has started. Let me come and check the status. This time it is running. Okay, so the HTTPD server which I have installed is now running. If I go to this location, var www html. So if I come here, you will see the code which I have copied from my Bitbucket is present here now. Okay, so if I come here and try to execute this, see here, I can see the code, or I can see the stuff which is written here. Okay, so let me try to explain this to you first. Now, so there is a big project. Okay, there is a big project which is at the end it will look something like this. But to make it simple, to keep it simple, I am putting it like this right now. So there is Route 53, which will change the name and give the name to me. There is a T2 micro instance where I'm going to put all the code which I want to run. To make this code run, I will link it with a database. To make it fast, I will link it with memcache. To keep the data intact, the session variables, I'll integrate with DynamoDB. I will integrate load balancing, auto scaling, and all here. There will be some static content and I want it fast, so I'll put it on CloudFront. But the first thing which I'm doing here is I'm trying to put the code here, okay, and take the backup so that in future, if I change something, I should be able to go ahead and work with that. So this is the simple thing which I have done. I went in, I created a instance. Okay, so let me just come here, clear everything, and cd come from the beginning. So the first thing what I did is I went here and installed Git. Why? Because I had to pull the code from GitHub. So I went here and I installed Git. Once Git was installed, I went here to my Bitbucket where the code is present. Okay, this is the Bitbucket where code is present. I went here. This is my code. I took the clone of this. Okay, and I copied the code here. Okay, once I copied the code with this command, git clone and this thing, I got my code here. Okay, after that, I went inside this. And when I came here, I saw there is a script. I ran the script // and this script is what I ran. When I ran the script, I saw that inside the script, they are installing Apache 2. There is Apache library. There is a PHP library, PHP memcache, MySQL, PHP MySQL CLI, and this Apache 2 is nothing but my HTTPD server. So they are trying to install all these things. Once they install all these things, history. So you can see here, somewhere here, I ran this command. I ran this script. Once the script ran, I tried to create a PHP environment. there is a get composer PHP environment. Okay, this thing I tried to install. Once I installed the PHP and the PHP environment, I copied all the code which is there in my var www HTML. And after that, I started my service of HTTPD. So here till here, it was giving me a problem. I restarted my application and all the code which I had copied is now present here, var www HTML. Okay. Now, if you come here, ls -l, the entire code is present here. Now, because the entire code is present here, I can simply come down, take this IP address and put it here. And you will see this is working for me. If I click on all these things, there is some functionality which I will talk about later. So if I do like this, it is going and pushing the data in my database. But I will come and explain all these things later. So don't get worried as of now. DynamoDB will not work because it is not linked to DynamoDB. S3 will not work because see here, there is nothing here because it is not linked. So one by one, I will link all the components together. See, nothing is here. So only this will work, local EC2, because I'm running everything on EC2. Apart from that, nothing will work. See, it is not working. So nothing will work. So basically, in a nutshell, I created a EC2 instance and I copied my code there. Once the code is present, I'm able to see the structure of my website. That is all what I've done. Any doubts, any questions related to this? Anybody having any questions related to this?
Concept wise, it was okay, but after logging into the EC2 machine, you copied the code and you run the script. After running the script, you have done some changes, right? Like copying to the var path and history.
So
yes, you have done some things, right? Like
see, I'll explain these things. Yeah. I'll explain you one by one. How can I get the code? You can get the code from here. I'll share the link. This is the code. You can come here and say bitbucket.org and just put my URL vikas99341. You'll be able to see the code repositories and you will have to take this code. Okay. Now, if you see here, I simply came here and did a git clone. Okay.
Yes.
Then there was a script. I gave execute permission to the script and I ran the script.
Yes.
Then I tried to run the PHP installer. I was trying to install PHP. This is what I ran. Then I tried to install.
Like, see, I'm completely from a non-programming background.
I will come back to all these things. I will come back to all these things. I'll explain all these things. I will tell you why I'm doing all these things. Okay.
Okay.
So in short, if I have to mention, see, when I start with the EC2 instance, let me say I'm starting with this EC2 instance. It's a bare metal. It's a brand new machine. So I need to install some softwares so that I can run a particular item here. Okay. But as of now, when I just started the EC2 instance, I am completely new. So in that case, I have to install some softwares. So I installed some softwares like PHP, HTTPD, and when I installed HTTPD, a folder got created. And in that folder, whatever code I had, I simply copied that code. Okay, for time being, think like this. Okay. I just copied that code. Once I've copied that code, I'm simply getting this structure. That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you come back to? Yes, I will come back to the code. I will explain all these things. I will take ample amount of time. I will make sure that each and every question is answered. For today, just digest one simple thing, that there is a EC2 instance. On that EC2 instance, there was a software installed. Then because of that software, HTTPD, a path got created, var www HTML, and in that HTML, the code was copied. That's it. Once, can we use other code? Yes. In case you have any other code, you can use it. But I will show you better ways of doing it. Okay. yes, it's a public URL, so you will be able to access this code. There is nothing here. So you will be able to access this code, but the simple thing what I'm trying to tell you here is that there is a EC2 instance, which is a bare metal, nothing is installed. I installed some softwares and I copied some files. And because of that, I'm able to see a web page. That is all what I want to do, explain here. Okay. So tomorrow when we come again, we start from the fresh, we start from a brand new page where we do everything from scratch. Okay. I'll explain each and every command to you step by step. Fine. I'll explain all these things step by step. Okay. Fine. See you then, guys. Can you please post all these things? Yes, I'll do that, man. It is pending on me only. I will post everything. Push everything to GitHub repo and share the link. Agenda. I'll do that. Put it in the group. I will let you know in the group only, the agenda and all. Fine. See you then, guys, tomorrow.
Thank you.